Good morning, colleagues. Time now is 10:02 a.m. We are still waiting for a quorum. Before we get started, we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 individuals, 7 of our colleagues. Plus, I have Honorable Public Aid here in the chambers of 30. So let's wait a little bit longer before we get started, colleagues. Okay, good morning, colleagues. Let's go and get started. Time now is 11:05 a.m. This is a Naa'bik'iyati committee of the 24th Navajo Nation Council. It's a regular meeting via telecommunications. We're here in Window Rock, Arizona on the Navajo Nation. Today's date is Thursday, June 10th, 2021. Time now is 10:05 a.m. again. Proposed agenda here before us has been posted more than 24 hours in advance. Presiding is myself, Seth Damon, Speaker of the 24th Navajo Nation Council. That, let me go ahead and go on down to a roll call, and then we'll go ahead and continue on after that. Ms. Sota, if you could do a roll call.
Good morning, honorable committee members. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay did not answer roll call. Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr. Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr. Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr. did not answer roll call. Honorable Paul Begay. Honorable Paul Begay is present. Honorable Nathaniel Brown.
Delegate Brown is present.
Honorable Nathaniel Brown answered roll call. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton did not answer roll call. Honorable Amber Canasba Crotty. Honorable Amber Canasba Crotty. Honorable Amber Canasba Crotty did not answer roll call. Honorable Speaker Seth Damon.
Present.
Honorable Speaker Seth Damon is present. Honorable Herman M. Daniels Jr.,
Good morning. Present.
Honorable Herman M. Daniels Jr. answered roll call. Honorable Mark Freeland. Honorable Mark Freeland. Honorable Mark Freeland did not answer roll call. Honorable Pernell Halona.
Hello, Mr. President. Good morning.
Honorable Pernell Halona answered roll call. Honorable Jamie Henyo. Honorable Jamie Henyo. Honorable Jamie Henyo did not answer roll call. Honorable Vince James. Honorable Vince James. Honorable Vince James did not answer roll call. Honorable Rick Nez.
Delegate Rick Nez is present.
Honorable Rick Nez answered roll call. Honorable Carl Slater.
Delegate Slater, present.
Honorable Carl Slater answered roll call. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr.
We'll go back over there and sit in the person.
Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. did not answer roll call.
Okay.
Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr.
Present.
Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. answered roll call. Honorable Charlene So. Honorable Charlene So.
Is this a one-way?
Honorable Charlene So did not answer
Huh?
roll call. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So did not answer roll call. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So did not answer roll call. Honorable Otto So.
I am present.
Honorable Otto So answered roll call. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. did not answer roll call. Honorable Edison Wanika. Honorable Edison Wanika. Honorable Edison Wanika did not answer roll call. Honorable Edmund Yazi.
Here.
Honorable Edmund Yazi answered roll call. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair did not answer roll call. Going back up. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay did not answer roll call. Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr. Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr. Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr. did not answer roll call. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton did not answer roll call. Honorable Amber Canespa Crotty. Honorable Amber Canespa Crotty. Honorable Amber Canespa Crotty did not answer roll call. Honorable Mark Freeland.
Good morning, Delegate Freeland's on. Thank you.
Honorable Mark Freeland answered roll call. Honorable Jamie Henyo. Honorable Jamie Henyo. Honorable Jamie Henyo did not answer roll call. Honorable Vince James. Honorable Vince James. Honorable Vince James did not answer roll call. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. did not answer. Roll call. Honorable Charlene So. Honorable Charlene So. Honorable Charlene So did not answer. Roll call. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So did not answer. Roll call. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So did not answer. Roll call. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. did not answer. Roll call. Honorable Edison Winika.
Here.
Honorable Edison Winika answered. Roll call. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair did not answer. Roll call. Speaker, you have. Again? Go through again? Okay. Going back up, Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton. Honorable Amber Canaspa Crotty. Honorable Jamie Henyo. Honorable Vince James. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. Honorable Charlene So. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Speaker, you have 12 members present, including yourself.
Thank you very much, colleagues. Time now is 10:14 a.m. We do not have a quorum.
Speaker, Delegate So.
10:15 usually. I remember we used to call meetings. We didn't have a quorum. We didn't have a meeting. About so.
And 4, thank you. I think we should just call it, you know. Everyone knows that this is a committee meeting and you don't have to show up in person. So this is just my concern. Just call a meeting and pass it down and pass it down again. That's my recommendation. Thank you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 legislations, and I know that's a critical one. Was one Honorable Freeland was trying to pass. And then the expenditure, Chairman Nez. Yes, who's the speaker?
I agree, Speaker. This is Edmund Yazzie, sir. I mean, we all also have busy schedules, but we made time to at least answer. And so we got other pending meetings that are happening. So motion to adjourn.
Oh, we didn't get into it. Colleagues, 10:16 a.m. I'm gonna call one more time. Bobby, Soto, one more time. Do a roll call. There's no roll call.
Speaker Freeland.
Honorable Freeland?
Speaker, can you call a special Naa'bik'iyati meeting like on Monday if needed?
I'd have to check with Madam Chair Charles Newton.
We have some real important legislation that need to either move on as following authority not Naa'bik'iyati or onto the council. So I ask if you, Speaker, can call a special meeting if we don't have enough of our colleagues today.
And that
Yeah,
the next
early
meeting we'll
Monday.
probably have is as early as next Thursday. Due to the fact that there's
Okay.
committee meetings on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. That, Ms.
What
Soto,
about-
one more time. One more time, Super Quorum.
Okay. Honorable Almer Begay. Honorable Almer Begay. Honorable Almer Begay did not answer roll call. Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr. Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr. Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr. did not answer roll call. Honorable Paul Begay.
Delegate Paul Begay is present.
Honorable Paul Begay is present. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown.
Delegate Brown is present.
Honorable Nathaniel Brown answered roll call. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton did not answer roll call. Honorable Amber Canasba Crotty. Honorable Amber Canasba Crotty. Honorable Amber Canasba Crotty did not answer roll call. Honorable
Yeah.
Speaker Seth Thaman. Honorable Speaker Seth Thaman is present. Honorable Herman M. Daniels Jr.
Here.
Honorable Herman M. Daniels Jr. answered roll call. Honorable Mark Freeland.
Here.
Honorable Mark Freeland answered roll call. Honorable Pernell Halona.
Hello, Ms. Chair, present. Thank you.
Honorable Pernell Halona answered roll call. Honorable Jamie Henyo. Honorable Jamie Henyo. Honorable Jamie Henyo did not answer roll call. Honorable Vince James. Honorable Vince James. Honorable Vince James did not answer roll call. Honorable Rick Nez. Honorable Rick Nez. Honorable Rick Nez did not answer roll call. Honorable Carl Slater.
Delegate Slater present.
Honorable Carl Slater answered roll call. Honorable
Delegate Rick
Raymond,
Nez is present.
Honorable Rick Nez answered roll call. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. did not answer roll call. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr.
Present.
Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. answered roll call. Honorable Charlene So. Honorable Charlene So. Honorable Charlene So did not answer roll call. Honorable Daniel So.
I'm here.
Honorable Daniel So answered roll call. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene. Honorable Eugene So answered roll call. Honorable Otto So.
I'm present.
Honorable Otto So answered roll call. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. did not answer roll call. Honorable Edison Wanika. Honorable Edison Wanika is present. Honorable Edmund Yazi.
Here.
Honorable Edmund Yazi answered roll call. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair answered roll, I'm sorry, Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair did not answer roll call. Honorable Speaker, you have 13 members present, including yourself.
Okay, 13
Bobby.
members present.
Mr. Speaker, this is Delegate Begay, Elmer Begay calling in.
Honorable Elmer Brigade is present, makes it 14. Time now is 10:22 a.m. With that, continue on down, colleagues. We do have a quorum. With that on, if we could ask Honorable Halona, could you do an opening prayer for us this morning?
Good morning, sir. Sure, I would love to. Thank you. I'll bow our heads in your own words, in your own thoughts, your own prayers. Lord in heaven, we thank you, Lord, for this wonderful day that you have given us. We thank you for all the blessings that you have provided us over the years. We also thank you for getting this pandemic under control. We thank you for all the healthy people that we have in our lives today, Lord Jesus. Bless all our veterans out there for keeping us free in the country. May they be safe and strong with their families, and so that they can carry on their lives and also to continue to protect us with our freedom. Lord, we ask you that you give us wisdom in this committee so that we may all make the right decisions, Lord. There are so many decisions that we have to make and that we all have several questions on. Help us, Lord, all the council delegates that we have today. Comfort their hearts, Lord. Give them peace and serenity in their decisions that they're going to make. We also ask, Lord, that you forgive us all of our sins that we're not aware of. We ask all these blessings in the name of Lord Jesus Christ as we say, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us of our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us, Lord, not into temptation, but deliver us, Lord, from evil. I ask all these blessings in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Thank you, Speaker.
Good morning, Speaker. This is Delegate Yellers on the line.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being on the line. Let's go ahead and continue. Thank you very much, Honorable Halona, for that opening prayer. Let's go on to item number 3, review and adopt the agenda. Mr. Rico, if you could read it into the record. Good morning.
Good morning. This is Delegate Hideo on the line too also.
Let me go back one step. Good morning, Chairman Hino. Let me go back. I skipped over recognizing guests and visiting officials. Any recognitions this morning, colleagues? If there are none, let's continue on then. Item number 3, review and adopt the agenda. Mr. Rico, if you could read it into the record.
This is Delegate Hideo. Can you hear me?
Yes, Chairman.
I'd like to recognize somebody.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, sir. Speaker Damon Ashnanda, 24th Navajo Nation Council of Naa'bik'iyati Committee. Just want to recognize in 2 days, or tomorrow actually, the Navajo Nation Department Retirement Services will be hosting the retirement virtual celebration for Navajo Nation employees who have served the Navajo Nation proudly, and will be honored with a retirement celebration tomorrow. It's just virtual. Too bad it's not like a banquet or anything, but we'll be honoring people who have served 10 to 19 years, 20 to 29 years, 30 to plus years for the Navajo Nation. And it'd be an honor if you would, so you join in on that. It'd be on YouTube and I believe some other, but it'll be virtual though. So just want to honor our Navajo employees who have served the Navajo Nation for a number of years, and they've earned their benefits, and they decide to retire, be with their family. And so, I want to recognize our past employees. So, with that, I got nothing to that, Chairman.
Thank you. There's no other comments or recognitions.
Mr. Chair, this is Delegate Herman Daniels.
Good morning, Honorable Daniels.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Members of Naa'bik'iyati Committee, Adonana Kodot, thank you for the invocation, Kodot, Honorable Halona. Thank you. Adonana Kodot, I just want to recognize Naa'bik'iyati chapter, also known as TBK chapter. I just want to thank and express my gratitude to Mr. Earl Sombrero, chapter manager, for what he does for the community of Naa'bik'iyati chapter, and also the chapter officials, chapter president Geraldine Chi, Shama, Arin Kodo, chapter vice president, Shadai Yajakodo, Sefeshkent, Chancey Notistein. Every year they have this annual intergenerational conference. So they're doing that today and tomorrow. Annual intergenerational conference. It's Tweedo Nana Sani, Nastas, Linky Donana Quidona Gata, Chinata, Adole, Yidahosh in the whole Nahano, Ado Lagan, that Skin Quidona Gata, Kat Neil that Adonana Gata. This evening, she yet had a niche or let it go, Navajo cake, she they let or less. Ado in the throughout the day, she told them, Ado Lagan, that Skin Dollars, but it's going to be virtual too. Shan his husband dollars, he have a need dollars, called Naa'bik'iyati chapter, Shashan Ash, Earl Sombrero. I just want to say thank you to him, express my gratitude, Mr. Chair, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Daniels. That colleagues, any other recognitions at this time?
Chairman Damon, this is Vice Chair Smith. I'm just calling in to let you know that I'm on the line. Thank you.
Hey, good morning, Vice Chair Smith. If there are none, let's go ahead and continue on down to item number 3 on our agenda then. For the third time saying review and adopt agenda.
Speaker.
Rico, if we could go ahead and read the agenda into the record, then we can go from there.
Morning, Mr. Speaker, members of the Naa'bik'iyati Committee. Naa'bik'iyati Committee of the 24th Navajo Nation Council regular meeting, Window Rock, Navajo Nation, Thursday, June 10th, 2021. Proposed agenda, presiding chair, Honorable Seth Damon, Speaker, 24th Navajo Nation Council. 1, call meeting to order, roll call invocation. 2, recognize guests and visiting officials, 2-minute limit per delegate. 3, review and adopt the agenda. 4, review and adopt the journals. There is 1 journal, June 3rd, 2021. 5, receive reports, none. 6, old business, none. 7, new business. New business A, legislation 0032-21. B, legislation 0047-21. C, legislation 0052-21. D, legislation 0060-21. E, legislation 0065-21. F, legislation 0066-21. G, legislation 0074-21. H, legislation 0078-21. I, legislation 0080-21. J, legislation 0084-21. K, legislation 0085-21. L, legislation 0086-21. 8, close the meeting. Announcements, adjournment. Mr. Speaker.
Speaker?
That, colleagues,
Speaker?
is there yes, who's saying speaker?
This is Edmund Yazzie, sir.
Yes, Chairman.
Speaker, members of the council, I'd like to go ahead and make the motion. However, on the motion, I'd like to move up, if it's okay with my colleagues, Delegate Freeland's legislation to the first item. Because if it's the importance of the bill, sir, that would be my motion.
That's 60, right? Oh, 86, not 60. That motion by Chairman Yazzie, and with the motion to move up 86-01 to the first item of business. Is there a second?
Second.
Delegate Yellow Hair.
We all
I'll make Yellow Hair.
Hey.
Thank you.
That, colleagues, any comments, questions, additions, deletions on the agenda?
Mr. Chair, this is Daniels.
Honorable Daniels.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. The motioning parties the agenda. I have a question, Mr. Chair. We have legislation on the agenda. So I'm just wondering which of these legislation can we combine for consent agenda? Because our colleagues, they have meetings, other meetings today. Myself, I have another meeting today. Which of these some of these legislation can, I'm just wondering if it could be combined for consent agenda. Mr. Chair, thank you.
Okay, thank you. That, going back to the floor. Any other comments, questions, additions, deletions on the agenda?
This is Delegate Yellow Hair. Good morning, Speaker, and also my colleagues, 24 Navajo Nation Council. If there's agreement and consent, I would like to move on one to it's legislation 0066-21. That is related to a confirming the appointment of Mr. Philip City as Kansas chapter representative to be to the Black Mesa Review Board to serve a term of 4 years. That's one of those that can probably meet that guideline. Thank you, Speaker.
Speaker, Delegate Freeland.
You know what? Okay. Chairman, let me go back. Because there's going to be numerous different additions and deletions, and it's going to get confusing. So, Chairman, I respectfully request that what we do, Chairman, I'm talking about Chairman Yazzie. I'm just going to accept your motion for the agenda, and then Honorable Yellow Hair is a second. But I'm not going to include 86-01 because everybody's going to move that up, and I need to do that on an amendment number 1.
Okay, Speaker, so you're gonna.
All right, thank you.
Gonna get back to me?
No, I'm going to turn it back over to, holding the motion, you can't make an amendment on the motion party. But what I'll do is I'll give that back to Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. And Honorable Yellowhair can request for 86 and then his 66, and then we can go from there.
Okay.
Speaker, point of privilege, Speaker.
Point of privilege. Honorable Freeland.
Freeland, thank you, Speaker, colleagues. I was just wondering if Honorable Daniels made a request or made a motion request to this motion as well. He did mention the consent agenda, so that's my question. My point of privilege, Speaker. Thank you.
Okay. Honorable Freeland, he didn't make a motion, he just made a suggestion.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, let me go on back to Honorable Yellow Hair. Honorable Yellow Hair, I'm going to recognize that as amendment number 1. So amendment number 1, with your consent, Honorable Yellow Hair, is going to be moving up 86-21 and then 66-21 right after that. Honorable Yellow Hair, you good with that?
I'm very good with that, Chair,
Okay.
that I can go with that guideline too. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
With that,
Okay.
all right, on amendment number 1, is there a second? Chairman Nino. Colleagues, any comments, questions on amendment number 1?
Speaker.
Honorable Otto, Honorable Otto, well, hold on. On amendment number 1, I have Carl, Honorable Slater, Chairman Nez, then Honorable Otto. So, Honorable Slater, on amendment number 1.
Thank you, Shania. Speaker Damon. I have a request to modify, and the modification would be to create a consent agenda using items, and I'm going to refer to what's on the printed proposed agenda. So items 7A, 7B, 7D, 7E, 7F, 7H, 7I, 7J, and 7K, and 7L.
And those will all be on consent agenda items. With that, there's a modification on amendment 1 to have a consent agenda, Honorable Yellow Hair, to include that on the consent agenda, which is 0032-21 is an action related to Naa'bik'iyati Committee confirming the appointment of Stanford Lake to serve as on the Navajo Housing Authority Board commissions to fulfill the 6 NNC subsection 608B position of the construction management, engineering, and business field or equivalent field experience with background in Indian housing or federal housing. 2 would be legislation 0047-21. Well, everyone has their agenda, so I'm just going to read off the legislation numbers. 0047-21, legislation 0060-21, legislation 0065-21, legislation 0066-21, legislation 0078-21, legislation 0080-21, legislation 0084-21, legislation 0085-21, and legislation 0086-21, all on the consent agenda. On we all here request to modify. On we all here.
Okay. I'm back on unmuted now. Chair, it's Honorable Slater. I honor that, and I don't think any problem. Thank you, Chair, Speaker, Navajo Nation Council. Abiga.
Okay, thank you. With that, as a second, Chairman Hino. You concur? Oh, okay. That, colleagues, let me go back to the floor on amendment number 1. Chairman Nez, on amendment 1.
Speaker, I withdraw. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. That, moving on down, Honorable Otto So on amendment number 1.
Thank you very much. with the issues of putting resolutions up, I wanted to maybe recommend that we put all of them all on the consent agenda. That way, we Naa'bik'iyati committee. A lot of these legislation, when it gets to council, individuals run out of time. And especially with the letter L, I didn't realize that the final authority is Nabi. And just wanted to get a little bit more information pertaining to this legislation. And I know once we move forward on the agenda, it's going to be included. And because it only went to one standing committee. And now it's the Naa'bik'iyati committee, and I would like to hear the presentation pertaining to this item L. Thank you.
On motto, so I heard that all of them should be on there as a consent agenda, and then I heard that you want now you want item L off the consent agenda.
No, I didn't indicate I want item L off. I just indicated that I had questions. I'm okay. I don't want to be just spoiler, but maybe I can recommend that we put all of them on the consent agenda. So we complete the, I guess they want to go home early, so we can do that. So I recommend we put all of them on consent agenda. Thank you.
Okay, so with the modification, we're adding legislation 0052-21, which is currently C, and legislation 0074-21, which is currently G. Honorable Yellow Hair, is a motion to add those two items onto the consent agenda.
I would go ahead and do it unless if there's other council, my colleagues have some questions that can be modified, Chair and Brother Odo. If we will have any very important issues on the legislation, you can name it and then we can take it off and talk about it, Chair, on the bigger Speaker.
All right, Honorable Yellow Hair, so you're okay with the modification to add those two onto the consent agenda?
Yes.
Okay, that Chairman Henio as a second. Okay, thank you. That colleague's back to the floor on amendment number 1. I don't have anybody else on the floor.
This is Miss Barbara. I need to weigh in.
Miss Barbara?
Thank you, and I apologize for interrupting, but Office of Legislative Counsel believes that there are amendments necessary to legislation 0086-21, and if it is included in the consent agenda, those amendments cannot be made. Thank you. Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, Naa'bik'iyati Committee.
Okay, colleagues, there's a recommendation from Ledge Council that there will be recommendations for amendments at 86-21. And that legislation is final authority here at Naa'bik'iyati Committee. Colleagues, with that, let me go back to the floor. Honorable Paul Begay on Amendment 1.
Thank you, Speaker. Colleagues on the 24th Navajo Nation Council. just wanted to say I approve of this consent agenda, mainly because we have a lot of stuff. It's not a matter of us wanting to go home. There are a lot of important meetings that's going on. Tibet meetings going on. Some of us are on travel, going to Albuquerque for meetings tomorrow. Just wanted to make sure that our colleagues understand that we're kind of in a predicament today as far as scheduling. Thank you.
Thank you. Colleagues, back to Amendment 1. Any other comments, questions? That on Amendment 1, colleagues, if there's no other further comments, questions, going once, going twice, going 3 times. Good board.
Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay did not vote. Honorable Key Allen
I vote
Begay
green.
Jr.
I vote green.
Honorable Elmer Begay votes green. Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr. Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr. Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr. did not vote. Honorable Paul Begay.
Delegate Paul Begay votes green.
Honorable Paul Begay votes green. Honorable Nathaniel Brown.
Delegate Brown votes green.
Honorable Nathaniel Brown votes green. Honorable Eugenia
Speaker.
Charles Newton.
Speaker, point of privilege.
It's point of privilege while we're voting. Who's speaking, speaker?
Freeland.
Honorable Freeland, is that you?
8621 is on the consent agenda, right?
Yes.
And we need amendments to it.
Yes.
Can I'll make a second amendment to it then after this vote. Thank you, Speaker.
Okay.
Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton did not vote. Honorable Amber Canasba Crotty. Honorable Amber Canasba Crotty. Honorable Amber Canasba Crotty did not vote. Honorable Herman M. Daniels Jr.
I vote green.
Honorable Herman M. Daniels Jr. votes green. Honorable Mark Freeland.
I'll vote green.
Honorable Mark Freeland votes green. Honorable Pernell Halona.
Halona votes green.
Honorable Pernell Halona votes green. Honorable Jamie Henyo.
Delegate India votes green.
Honorable Jamie Henyo votes green. Honorable Vince James.
Delegate James votes green.
Honorable Vince James votes green. Honorable Rick Nez.
Delegate Rick Nez votes green.
Honorable Rick Nez votes green. Honorable Carl Slater.
Delegate Slater, green.
Honorable Carl Slater votes green. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr.
Green.
Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. votes green. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr.
Green.
Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. votes green. Honorable Charlene So. Honorable Charlene So. Honorable Charlene So did not vote. Honorable Daniel So.
I vote green.
Honorable Daniel So votes green. Honorable Eugene So.
Vote is Shahat.
Honorable Eugene So votes green. Honorable Otto So. Honorable Otto So.
I vote green.
Honorable Otto So votes green. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. did not vote. Honorable Edison Winika. Edison Winika. Honorable Edison Winika did not vote. Honorable Edmund Yazi.
Green.
Honorable Edmund Yazi votes green. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair.
Delegate Yellowhair votes green.
Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair votes green. Going back up, Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr. Honorable Key Allen.
green.
Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr. votes green. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton did not vote. Honorable Amber Kinesba Crotty is excused. Honorable Charlene So is excused. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. did not vote. Honorable Edison Winika. Honorable Edison Winika. Honorable Edison Winika did not vote. Speaker, with a vote of 18 in favor, 0 opposed, Chair not voting.
Thank you. That on Amendment 1, 18 in favor, 0 opposed, Chair not voting. Back to the main motion. Everybody in the queue
Speaker
at this
Freeland.
time. Honorable Freeland, floor is yours.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I'd like to entertain a motion to make a revision to Amendment 1 to exclude legislation 0086-21 off the consent agenda. We do have some very important amendments that need to be added on to this legislation. I humbly ask this request of approval and I'll make this motion, Speaker. Thank you.
Okay, motion to delete 86-21 off the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Delegate Rick Nez.
Amendment 2. Freeland, second by Honorable Rick Nez. Okay, colleagues, any comments, questions on Amendment 2?
Speaker.
Who's speaking, Speaker?
It's Edmund Yazi, sir.
Chairman?
Sir, just a question to the motioning party. As long as we could, and to my colleagues, we could put this the first item, then the consent. But it all depends on the vote, sir.
Honorable Chairman Yazi, according to the rules of order, consent agenda items are first.
Okay. All right, sir.
Okay. That, any other comments, questions, colleagues? Went twice. Went 3 times. Go to board.
Delegate Charles
Amendment 2.
Newton. Hello,
Charles Newton.
Speaker, this is Delegate Charles Newton.
Yes, Madam Chair. While we're voting.
Yes, Speaker, I do apologize, and to my colleagues. Speaker, I just got off the Tribal Interior Budget Council meeting call. I'd like to request at this time to be excused from Naa'bik'iyati today, as we have the TIBIC calls that are going on at this time. I believe that the next call, if I'm not mistaken, is going to be starting in about 4 minutes. So if I could be excused from Naa'bik'iyati today, Speaker.
Okay. Thank you. You will be. All right, colleagues, go to board. We're voting.
Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay did not vote. Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr.
Key Allen votes green. Thank you.
Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr. votes green. Honorable Paul Begay.
Delegate Paul Begay votes green.
Honorable Paul Begay votes green. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown did not vote. Honorable Herman M. Daniels Jr.
Green.
Honorable Herman M. Daniels votes green. Honorable Mark Freeland.
Green.
Honorable Mark Freeland votes green. Honorable Pernell Halona.
Well, they're gonna have to decide at this next meeting.
Honorable Pernell Halona. Honorable Pernell Halona did not vote.
Halona votes green.
Honorable Pernell Halona votes green. Honorable Jamie Henyo.
Delegate Henyo votes green.
Honorable Jamie Henyo votes green. Honorable Vince James. Honorable Vince James. Honorable Vince James did not vote. Honorable Rick Nez.
Delegate Rick Nez votes green.
Honorable Rick Nez votes green. Honorable Carl Slater.
Delegate Slater, green.
Honorable Carl Slater votes green. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr.
Green.
Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. votes green. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr.
Green.
Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. votes green. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So did not vote. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So votes green. Honorable Otto So.
I vote green.
Honorable Otto So votes green. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. did not vote. Honorable Edison Winika. Honorable Edison Winika votes green. Honorable Edmund Yazzie.
Green.
Honorable Edmund Yazzie votes green. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair.
I vote green.
Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair votes green. Going back up, Honorable Elmer Begay.
Daniel So.
Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay did not vote. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown.
The Delegate Brown votes green.
Honorable Nathaniel Brown votes green. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton is excused. Honorable Amber Canespa Crotty is excused. Honorable Herman M. Daniels Jr. Oh, he voted green. I'm sorry. Honorable
vote
Vince
green.
James. Yes, I'm sorry, sir. Honorable Vince James. Honorable Vince James. Honorable Vince James did not vote. Honorable Charlene So is excused. Honorable Daniel So.
I vote green. Thank you.
Honorable Daniel So votes green. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. did not vote. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Speaker, you have 17 in favor, 0 opposed, chair not voting.
Does that include all the pink ones?
Yeah.
Okay, 17? 17 in favor, 0 opposed, chair not voting, motion carries. That, colleagues, let's continue on. Back to the main motion. Any other further comment, recommendations? Going twice. Going 3 times. We are going to vote. Oh, Mr. Rico, if you could do the second reading.
Mr. Speaker, members of the Naa'bik'iyati Committee, you have 2 amendments. Amendment number 1 was to create a consent agenda. Consent agenda would include legislation 0032-21, legislation 0047-21, legislation 0052-21, legislation 0060-21, legislation 0065-21, legislation 0066-21, legislation 0074-21, legislation 0078-21, legislation 0080-21, legislation 0084-21, legislation 0085-21, and legislation 0086-21. Amendment number 2 was a modification. It was an amendment to amendment number 1, and that was to remove legislation 0086-21 from the consent agenda, which would be item B under new business after the consent agenda. Mr. Speaker.
Please don't give okay. Hello. I changed. Hello?
Colleagues, it's, we are voting, but give us a few minutes. Our voting machine got the flu.
Speaker, this Delegate McGay,
Hold on, I think
my line dropped, so I'm voting green on it.
Hold on, Honorable McGee. Good. Okay. Good. We're good to go.
Can I still vote green on my?
Hold on. Hold on.
Okay.
This is where we are voting on the agenda with 2 amendments. Go ahead, Ms. Soto.
Honorable Elmer Begay.
I vote green.
Honorable Elmer Begay votes green. Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr.
Key Allen votes green.
Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr. votes green. Honorable Paul Begay. Honorable Paul Begay. Honorable Paul Begay did not vote. Honorable Nathaniel Brown.
Delegate Brown votes green.
Honorable Nathaniel Brown votes green. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton is excused. Honorable Amber Canes-Bakati is excused. Honorable Herman M. Daniels Jr.
Green.
Honorable Herman M. Daniels Jr. votes green. Honorable Mark Freeland.
Green.
Honorable Mark Freeland votes green. Honorable Pernell Holona.
Thank you.
Honorable Pernell Holona.
Kelowna votes green.
Honorable Pernell Helena votes green. Honorable Jamie Hino.
He votes green.
Honorable Jamie Hino votes green. Honorable Vince James.
Thank you very much.
Honorable Vince James.
Delegate green.
I'm sorry, Honorable Vince James. Can you repeat your vote?
Delegate James votes green.
Honorable Vince James votes green. Honorable Rick Nez.
Delegate Rick Nez votes green.
Honorable Rick
Green.
Nez votes green. Honorable Carl Slater.
Delegate Slater, green.
Honorable Carl Slater votes green. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr.
Green.
Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. votes green. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr.
Green.
Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. votes green. Honorable Charlene So. Oh yeah, Honorable Charlene So is excused. Honorable Daniel So.
I vote green. Thank you.
Honorable Daniel So votes green. Honorable Eugene So.
Vote is over.
Honorable Eugene So votes green. Honorable Otto So.
Vote green.
Honorable Otto So votes green. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. did not vote. Honorable Edison Wanika. Honorable Edison Wanika votes green. Honorable Edmund Yazzie.
Green.
Honorable Edmund Yazzie votes green. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair.
I'll vote green.
Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair votes green. Going back up. Honorable Paul Begay. Honorable Paul Begay. Honorable Paul Begay did not vote. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr.
Delegate Paul Begay votes green.
Honorable Paul Begay votes green. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. did not vote. Speaker, with a vote of 19 in favor, 0 opposed, and chair not voting.
Thank you. With that, 19 in favor, 0 opposed, chair not voting, motion carries. Now, colleagues, we do have a agenda before us.
These other two are great.
Okay, thank you. With that, let's go and continue on down. Item number 4, review and adopt our journals. We do have a journal that was sent out yesterday afternoon. Yesterday evening. It was June 3rd, 2021's journal. What is the will of the committee?
Motion. Freeland, second.
I don't know who said the motion the first time.
This is Edmund Yazzie, sir.
Chairman Yazzie, motion by Chairman Yazzie to accept the report, second by Honorable Freeland. That, colleagues, any comments, questions? None, go to the board. Why? Oh.
Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay did not vote. Honorable
green.
Honorable Elmer Begay
I vote
votes
green.
green. Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr.
Caleb votes green. Thank you.
Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr. votes green. Honorable Paul Begay.
Delegate Paul Begay votes green.
Honorable Paul Begay votes green. Honorable Nathaniel Brown.
Delegate Brown votes green.
Honorable Nathaniel Brown votes green. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton is excused. Honorable Amber Canas-Bacati is excused. Honorable Herman M. Daniels Jr.
Green.
Honorable Herman M. Daniels Jr. votes green. Honorable Mark Freeland.
Green.
Honorable Mark Freeland votes green. Honorable Pernell Halona.
Florida votes green.
Honorable Pernell Halona votes green. Honorable Jamie Henyo.
Henyo votes green.
Honorable Jamie Henyo votes green. Honorable Vince James.
Delegate James votes green.
Honorable Vince James votes green. Honorable Rick Nez.
Delegate Rick Nez votes green.
Honorable Rick Nez votes green. Honorable Carl Slater.
Delegate Slater, green.
Honorable Carl Slater votes green. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr.
Green.
Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. votes green. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr.
Green.
Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. votes green. Honorable Charlene So is excused. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So votes green. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So votes green. Honorable Otto So.
I vote green.
Honorable Otto So votes green. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. did not vote. Honorable Edison Wanika. Honorable Edison Wanika votes green. Honorable Edmund Yazzie.
Green.
Honorable Edmund Yazzie votes green. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair.
Delegate Yellowhair votes green.
Honorable Jimmy
Thank you.
Yellowhair votes green. Going back up, Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. did not vote. Speaker, with a vote of 19 in favor, 0 opposed, and chair not voting.
Thank you very much. 19 in favor, colleagues. 0 opposed. Chair not voting. Trying to find my pin. There it is. All right, that colleagues, moving on down. Item number 5, receiving reports. There are none. Moving on down, did we send a new agenda out? It is being sent out as we speak. But on the new agenda, moving on down to item number 7, new business. Consent agenda, legislation 0032-21. Oh, well, I'll have Mr. Rico read it into the record and then we'll go straight to the vote.
Mr. Speaker, members of the Naa'bik'iyati Committee, consent agenda, tracking number 0032-21, an action relating to Naa'bik'iyati, confirming the appointment of Mr. Stafford Lake to serve on the Navajo Housing Authority Board of Commissioners to fill the 6 NNC Section 606B position of the construction management or engineering or business management or equivalent field experience with background in Indian housing or federal housing, sponsored by Honorable Ricky Nez. Legislation is final authority at Naa'bik'iyati per Navajo Nation Council Rules of Order, Navajo Nation Council Standing Committee Rules of Order Rule 9. Legislation has been read into the record by electronic voice recording. Tracking number 0047-21, An action relating to Health Education and Human Services and Naa'bik'iyati Committees and Navajo Nation Council rescinding CO 84-20 entitled An action relating to an emergency for the Navajo Nation opposing all in-person instruction at all schools intending to reopen within the Navajo Nation amidst COVID-19, supporting the Navajo Nation Board of Education in recommending virtual learning. Sponsored by Honorable Carl Slater, co-sponsored by Honorable Pernell Halona, co-sponsored by Honorable Edison J. Wanika. Legislation is moving on to Navajo Nation Council. Tracking number 0052-21, an action relating to the Resource Development, Health Education, and Human Services, Law and Order, and Naa'bik'iyati Committees, and Navajo Nation Council, amending Navajo Nation Veterans Trust Fund, Title 12, Subchapter 812, NNC, Section 1171, sponsored by Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. Legislation will move on to Navajo Nation Council. Tracking number 0060-21, an action relating to Health, Education, Human Services, and Naa'bik'iyati Committees to proclaim an honorarium and memorial to recognizing survivors and families and those whom lost loved ones to COVID-19 and appreciating all of the frontline and essential workers for their sacrifice, commitment, and hard work in providing continued service to the Navajo Nation. Sponsored by Honorable Mark A. Freeland, co-sponsored by Honorable Speaker Damon, co-sponsored by Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Naa'bik'iyati is final authority per Navajo Nation Council Standing Committee Rules of Order. Rule 9 legislation has been read into the record by electronic voice recording. Tracking number 0065-21, an action relating to Resource and Development, Budget and Finance, and Naa'bik'iyati Committees and Navajo Nation Council, allocating $58,225,000 in citizen funds to the Navajo Nation Water Management Branch for the Western Navajo Pipeline Phase 1 project, approving and adopting the Western Navajo Pipeline Phase 1 project expenditure plan pursuant to 12 NNC Section 2501 to 2508. Legislation is sponsored by Honorable Paul Begay, co-sponsored by Honorable Herman M. Daniels, co-sponsored by Honorable Otto So, co-sponsored by Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Legislation is moving on to Navajo Nation Council. Tracking number 0066-21, an action relating to Naa'bik'iyati Committee confirming the appointment of Mr. Philip City as the Kayenta chapter representative to the Black Mesa Review Board to serve a term of 4 years. Legislation is sponsored by Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Naa'bik'iyati is final authority per Navajo Nation Council Rules of Order. Navajo Nation Council Standing Committee Rules of Order, Rule number 9. Legislation has been read into the record by electronic voice recording. Tracking number 0074-21, an action relating to Resource Development Committee, Naa'bik'iyati Committees, and Navajo Nation Council, approving amendment number 1 to the Desert Creek Operating Agreement between the Navajo Nation and Navajo Nation Oil and Gas Company, sponsored by Honorable Otto So. Legislation will move on to Navajo Nation Council. Tracking number 0078-21, an action relating to Naa'bik'iyati Committees and Navajo Nation Council, overriding Navajo Nation President's veto of Navajo Nation Council Resolution CMA-18-21, sponsored by Honorable Daniel E. So. Legislation will move on to Navajo Nation Council. Tracking number 0080-21, an action relating to Naa'bik'iyati Committee, establishing the Navajo Nation's position to protect and preserve the San Francisco Peaks, a sacred mountain and cultural property for the Navajo people and other indigenous relatives. Sponsored by Honorable Daniel E. So. Naa'bik'iyati is final authority per Navajo Nation Council Standing Committee Rules of Order, Rule 9. Legislation has been read into the record by electronic voice recording. Tracking number 0084-21, an action relating to Naa'bik'iyati Committee and Navajo Nation Council confirming the appointment of Mr. Manuel Rico Jr. as Executive Director of the Office of Legislative Services, sponsored by Honorable Speaker Damon, co-sponsored by Honorable Pernell Halona, co-sponsored by Honorable Daniel E. So. Legislation is moving on to Navajo Nation Council. Tracking number 0085-21, an action relating to Resource Development Committee and Naa'bik'iyati Committee, approving and endorsing the recommendations for San Juan River operations and administration for 2021 through 2022, sponsored by Honorable Ricky Nez. Legislation is final authority at Naa'bik'iyati per Navajo Nation Council Rules of Order Rule Number 9. Legislation has been read into the record by electronic voice recording. Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. With that, colleagues, is there a motion? Motion by Honorable Otto So, second. Second by Honorable Edison Winika. Comments, questions? Actually, we're going to vote? Yes, sorry. Good board.
Honorable Almer Begay. Honorable Almer Begay. Honorable Almer Begay did not vote. Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr.
Key Allen votes green. Thank you.
Honorable Key Allen
Almer
Begay
Begay votes
Jr.
green too.
Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr. votes green. Honorable Almer Begay votes green. Honorable Paul Begay.
Thank you. Delegate Paul Begay votes green.
Honorable Paul Begay votes green. Honorable Nathaniel Brown.
Delegate Brown votes green.
Honorable Nathaniel Brown votes green. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton is excused. Honorable Amber Canespa Crotty is excused. Honorable Herman M. Daniels Jr.
Green.
Honorable Herman M. Daniels Jr. votes green. Honorable Mark Freeland.
Green.
Honorable Mark Freeland votes green. Honorable Pernell Halona.
Halona votes green.
Honorable Pernell Halona votes green. Honorable Jamie Henyo. Honorable Jamie Henyo.
Amy votes green.
Honorable Jamie Henyo votes green. Honorable Vince James. Honorable Vince James.
Delegate James votes green.
Honorable Vince James votes green. Honorable Rick Nez.
Delegate Rick Nez votes green.
Honorable Rick Nez votes green. Honorable Carl Slater.
Delegate Slater, green.
Honorable Carl Slater votes green. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr.
Green.
Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. votes green. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr.
Green.
Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. votes green. Honorable Charlene So is excused. Honorable Daniel So.
I vote green.
Honorable Daniel So votes green. Honorable Eugene So.
Vote Israel Shehan.
Honorable Eugene So votes green. Honorable Otto So. Honorable Otto So votes green. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Oh, I'm sorry. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. is excused. Honorable Edison Wanika. Honorable Edison Wanika.
Green.
Honorable Edison Wanika votes green. Honorable Edmund Yazi. Honorable Edmund Yazi. Honorable Edmund Yazi did not vote. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair did not vote. Going back up. Honorable Edmund Yazi.
Green.
Honorable Edmund Yazi votes green. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair.
I'll vote green. Thank you.
Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair votes green. Speaker, with a vote of 19 in favor, 0 opposed, chair not voting.
Thank you. With that, colleagues, on the consent agenda items, 11 items on the consent agenda, 19 in favor, 0 opposed, chair not voting. That motion carries. Let me see. Legislation 0032 move on to, was final authority here at Nabi? Or all going on? Legislations 47, 52, 65, 74, and 78 will be going on to Navajo Nation councils. And legislation 0084-21. That, colleagues, continuing on down on our agenda. Item number B, legislation 0086-21. It's an action related to the Resource and Development Committee and Naa'bik'iyati Committee amending CJA-01-21 to extend the deadline for the procurement of heavy equipment for 25 chapters. Sponsors by Honorable Freeland, co-sponsored by myself, Seth Damon. That, Mr. Rico, if you could read that into the record, then I'll go ahead and floor for a motion second.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members of the Naa'bik'iyati Committee. Tracking number 0086-21, an action relating to Resource and Development and Naa'bik'iyati Committees amending CJA-01-21 to extend the deadline for the procurement of heavy equipment for 25 chapters, sponsored by Honorable Mark A. Freeland, sponsored by Honorable Speaker Seth Damon. There is a committee report from the Resource and Development Committee that recommend a due pass with one amendment. Amendment number 1, page 3, line 17 to 21, change as follows. At paragraph C, overstrike any citizen funds not spent or encumbered by the Division of Community Development in accordance with the requirements of CJA-01-21 by the October 1st, 2021 deadline shall revert to the citizen fund principal unless otherwise recommended by the Resource and Development Committee of the Navajo Nation Council and approved by the Naa'bik'iyati Committee. And overstrike. New language. The citizen funds allocated for the chapter heavy equipment expenditure plan shall remain available to procure heavy equipment items for which funding shortfalls or price increases have occurred. After all heavy equipment items listed in CJA-01-21 have been procured, any remaining funds shall revert to the citizen fund principal unless otherwise recommended by the Resource and Development Committee of the Navajo Nation Council and approved by the Naa'bik'iyati Committee. And _2, renumber re-letter succeeding paragraphs, sections, or exhibits accordingly if necessary. This amendment shall supersede inconsistent language contained in any other committee amendment which shall be conformed to the intent or language of this amendment. The Office of Legislative Services, with notice to the sponsor of the legislation, is hereby authorized to make necessary grammatical changes. Naa'bik'iyati is final authority per Navajo Nation Council Standing Committee Rules of Order, Rule 9. Legislation has been read into the record by electronic voice recording. Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, this is Lurleen Chapahi with Office of Legislative Counsel.
Let me get a motion in a second, then I'll come to Ms. Lapai.
Thank you.
Delegate Yellowhair, motion.
That, colleagues, Honorable Yellowhair is on the motion on 86-21.
Second, Daniel.
Second by Honorable Herman Daniels. That, let me go to Ms. Tapahi. Tapahi, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I don't believe the amendment is necessary, Speaker. This exact same language.
They just read it into the record?
Yes.
But it's already been made.
No, it's part of the legislation. They don't need an amendment.
Colleagues, our legislative council.
I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker. The amendment isn't necessary because the language read into the record for the amendment is already in the legislation. It's on page 3, line 17.
Yeah, I think you just confused changes. They're not doing an amendment right now. They're just reading the legislation.
Mr. Freeland, Honorable Freeland, floor is yours. You have 20 minutes on the board.
Thank you, Speaker. Colleagues, members of the Naa'bik'iyati Committee, staff, good morning. All our constituency and all of our chapter leadership as well as administrative staff. Colleagues and my colleagues, honorable colleagues, I present this legislation to you for several reasons. There's a lot that's been happening with the Navajo Nation procurement and the Office of the Controller. We were up against the timeline, and we had to ask for an extension for additional procurement time for the chapter's heavy equipment. Now, let's keep in mind, Shnata, this is not CARES money. This is not federal money that we're using. This is the Navajo Nation state-listed money. The legislation originally was passed by this body through the Navajo Nation Council, asking from state-listed money. I know that I wanted to make that clear. First of all, this is state-listed, not CARES money. I wanted to give a shout out to the heavy equipment team. Ms. Elmer Johnson. Elmer's been very instrumental in helping all of our chapters obtain heavy equipment, along with Mr. Lydell Davis, Mr. Calvin Sosi, Mr. Lila Bill, Mr. Sean Payochi, of course, leadership of Dr. Pearl Yellowman at Division Community Development. We can't express our gratitude for all the staff at DCD, whether it's CPMD or the ASC team as a whole. Really thankful for their assistance during the pandemic and continual assistance at this time. I know they have a lot on their plate. We all know that. We all know that they have a lot on their plate. We're very thankful for their assistance as well to our chapters. Shinata, as a delegate of 8 chapters, I saw this list, and I did inquire to DCD as to what was going on with several of my chapters. It turns out 5 of my chapters were affected. So in working in conjunction with DCD, I did drop this legislation, and it turns out that 51 chapters overall will be assisted through this timeline. So I ask for your humble support, and I ask for your continued support, Shantai. It's really given us an extension to get this procurement extension taken care of. I do have my agent on the line, Division Community Development, Executive Director, Division Director, Dr. Pearl Yellowman. Dr. Yellowman, are you in the line? That I can go ahead and give the floor to you to add any additional information and provide additional comments for this legislation, and we can take questions after that, Speaker. Thank you. Dr. Yellowman?
Good morning. Good morning, Speaker. I'm on the line.
All right.
Good morning. Good morning, Speaker, and thank you to our sponsor here, Delegate Freeland. And good morning to honorable members of the 24th Navajo Nation Council. Naa'bik'iyati. Adonana Hiado Hiat Ezen. Shay Pearl Yellowman and Shia, Auto Division of Community Development Director, a Banashnish. Auto the heavy equipment. We were signed into law January 30th, and we had a deadline of April 30th to complete just roughly 300 pieces of heavy equipment, including a solar unit. We assigned a team to this task, and we were directed to work closely with OOC and OMB, and we appreciate working with OOC and OMB. Today, our status is 73 heavy equipment pieces have been delivered. 44 pieces of heavy equipment are on order, and 93 pieces are waiting to be packaged to be entered into the 6B rollout. We do have 87 pending purchase orders, and as a result, we are asking for your support in extending this legislation. We've encountered some internal challenges, and then we encountered mainly external challenges. Some of the internal challenges are, of course, the timeline, and then just briefly, we did put on our DCD website the whole legislation, and we were able to break it down by equipment for each chapter on our website. And in doing so, we calculated close to over 35 processes to our Navajo Nation procurement, and that's a lot of time. 35
phases of procurement for 299 pieces of heavy equipment in 90 days. So I'm thankful for our staff working into the late evening, into the weekends. And then externally, some of the challenges that we encountered, as you all know, this legislation came out as a result of 7320. That was one of the number one requests out of the community assessments for 7320. And as such, after November 20th, leadership went into discussing advancements of purchasing heavy equipment. So from November to January 30th, when this was signed into law, we really tried to work with all of the vendors to honor those quotes. And since then, we've really trying to maintain the nation's relationship with our vendors and regain some of that trust and ensure that payment will be made to those vendors so that they can hold these heavy equipment pieces. The other external challenge we came across was some of the prices of steel and materials had increased, and the utility trailers are mainly some of the items that need to be packaged on our end because we lost quite a few utility trailers due to supply and demand. Another thing we lost too, or we came across in challenges, were the chips, and that was a national shortage televised throughout the nation. So that did occur. And then, of course, some of our chapters reached out to vendors not normally who have not normally worked with the nation. We've had some vendors in Utah, I believe like Minnesota. So we've had to really extend and work with them and educate them on our procurement process. So those were some external challenges we came across. But right now, we anticipate completing and closing out this legislation if extended. The other major task was complementing all of the heavy equipment pieces with maintenance and operation plans, and we had to get that vetted through NDOT and DOJ, and we hope to release those to the chapters. And we believe that the training and operation and maintenance was critical to this large fleet being added to the nation. And so with this extension, we'll be able to complete that side of the process as well. And very thankful, all of the chapters worked very closely with our heavy equipment team. And all of the chapters were inquiring daily and participating or had been actively involved in providing information. We had quite a few delegates inquire and advocate, so we continue to ask, or we ask for your continued support. So that I'll brief comments on the legislation. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yellowman. It's good to hear your voice too. With that, go back to Honorable Freeland. Is that complete your presentation?
Speaker, thank you. My colleagues, therefore, we do humbly ask for your assistance, for your consideration, and for your support on this very important legislation that will benefit our people through our chapters. Thank you very much, and God bless. Speaker concluded. Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues. With that, there was an amendment, suggested amendment that was sent out 11/13 this morning from Office Legislative Counsel. And I think that amendment that's a corrective amendment for action. So with that, let me go to the floor. I have Chairman Daniel So in the queue at this time. Chairman, good morning still.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh. Yeah.
Floor is yours.
Members of the 24th Navajo Nation Council convened as the Committee of the Whole, named the Naa'bik'iyati committee. I appreciate my Che for sponsoring this legislation, and I appreciate what the Division of Community Development has put together. And we realize that there is some of the vendors may have overextended themselves. I know two of my chapters, and they may already be in the pipeline, by Horse Lake and Pueblo Pintado, have not received their backhoes, and Counselor Chapter is listed on the flatbed, but they also have a vehicle, a truck, as well as Torion. They haven't received it, but I will be patient, but I want to just, I'm curious, how many of the chapters that receive their equipment have developed a policy and procedure, and how many have instituted the equipment usage agreement with constituents, and how many of the actual equipment have been used by our constituents. That is one particular item we really, push hard to get these items purchased. And in that regard, some of our work into late hours and on weekends to get the legislation, the price quotes initially. I'm just curious as if that appropriation has benefited members of the Navajo Nation. Thank you, and again, I appreciate the work that team that Dr. Yellerman has put together. That would be the extent of my presentation and question. I'll go back on mute. Thank you, Sila.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Let me go on down to Honorable Otto So, and then I'll go back to the presenter, Honorable Freeland. I'll be on standby. Honorable Otto So, floor is yours.
Can you hear me now? Good morning. Senado Data the in the Abba here. The Obe Kenny Kai. Akonda did one area I support this legislation. And as the Navajo Nation Council passed CJA-0121, funded trust funded Hudson funding alcohol. I don't believe inside the Hudson legislation the expenditure plan allows the final authority to be Naa'bik'iyati committee. And just wondering if policy was changed, or was it changed in the legislation, but we did not change the citizen policy. And if that is the case, which holds more water? Because I see this legislation as the final authority to the Navajo Nation Council. There is no policy that indicates that Naa'bik'iyati is the final authority on any financial approval except for internal funding reversions, moving monies within the tribal program itself, and the other is if this money if we were utilizing the CARES Act, the Title V dollars, a Naa'bik'iyati committee, ohni pailiane. Ako siniki hatash legislation was given the final authority for funding allocation or reallocation or amendment. Because to what I remember is that any legislation that came through down the process, the final authority was the Navajo Nation Council. Maybe the Legislative Council can shed light to this and indicate when the Navajo Nation Council allow Naa'bik'iyati Committee to be the final authority for any financial or anything pertaining to CHISN, because these are CHISN dollars. Even though we're extending the deadline, it still requires council as final action to how I see the CHISN expenditure plan. Thank you. Let me go back on mute.
Thank you. With that, let me go back to Ms. Freeland, and then maybe Ms. Barbroff can explain, or Mr. Fahy from the questions from Honorable So, but Honorable Freeland, back to you as presenter.
Thank you. Thank you, Speaker. Thank you for those comments and questions. My most honorable, distinguished Polche, thank you for your comments as well. Definitely noticed that your chapters were on that list, so we do support that. In regards to the policies and procedures and mechanisms as far as working with constituencies, I'm going to let Dr. Yellowman answer that. I believe there might be some work that they have done through the ASC team, but I'll let Dr. Yellowman answer that. And then, of course, to Shania, Honorable Otto So, I'll let Office of Legislative Counsel answer those comments as well. So if I can give Dr. Yellowman some time before we turn it over to Dana. Dr. Yellowman?
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Naa'bik'iyati Delegate Daniel Sell for your question. At this time, I do not have the exact numbers of the usage agreement policies, but I can certainly collect that information and how many have maintenance and policies, procedures in place. One of the, not challenges, but for time's sake, what we encountered is with the new chapter officials coming into office this year, many of them were being updated and having or needing or requesting to go through some training. The purpose of the maintenance and policy template that we wanted to provide and have concurred by NDOT was that they could just be templates, and chapters who already had their policies in place could use these templates to update theirs or advance theirs. And many chapters may have some already in place that are working well for them. The other is to include the training and safety for these heavy equipment and storage of them. So those were some of the areas that we wanted to expand upon. And it was requested by the chapters, or it was requested to the chapters that they update their usage and to include these heavy equipment to benefit the people. And there was many discussions on if they would be charging a fee or how they would be paying for operators. They were having those discussions at the chapter level. But Delegate So, I can follow up and get the numbers to you in a timely manner if possible. And then also agree with Delegate Freeland that the question from Delegate Otto Soshanella, that the expenditure plan allows for the final authority, I would lean on Legislative Council. Thank you.
Thank you. That, let me go to Miss Barbara.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Committee. This is Dana Barbara, Chief Legislative Counsel. I really appreciate Delegate Otto So's question, mainly because it shows that he remembers the CSN statute. The CSN statute does indeed make council and OPVP the final approvals of expenditure plans. This expenditure plan was adopted by CJA-0121 and as set forth on page 2 of your resolution, line 25, paragraph F, it does state that CJA-01-21 does allow an extension to the heavy equipment purchasing 90-day deadline. Page 7, section 4, paragraph 5 of CJA 0121 states, and this is a quotation. This is actually what CJA 01-21, the language from that the funds allocated for the chapter heavy equipment expenditure plan shall revert to the CSN fund principal if not or spent or encumbered with 90 days of distribution to the Division of Community Development unless recommended otherwise by the Resources and Development Committee and approved by the Naa'bik'iyati Committee. So this legislation is in order because of that paragraph in CJA-0121 and the fact that what Resources Committee and Naa'bik'iyati Committee are doing here is extending that the deadline, and they have the authority to do that under CJA 01-21. Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, Vice Chair So.
Thank you with that. Colleagues, any other comments, questions? Honorable Otto So, follow up. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Speaker. And Dana, does this language, the language that you speak to on CJA-01-21, section on, I guess, B5, page 7 of 12. Does this same language reflect in the main CHSN expenditure plan or the CHSN fund management process? Because in the CHSN legislation gives the Navajo Nation Council the final authority. And right now, we are still expending money. We're just extending the deadline. And that is my concern. I don't want anybody challenging this in the courts, because someone may say the CHSN fund management plan says this, but CJA-01-21 says this. But when you go back to the governing factor, the CHSN fund management plan is the governing policy of overall of the expenditure plan. And I think that just to be on the safe side, Speaker, I think we should send this to the Navajo Nation Council And this, I would support a special session for this piece of legislation because I have concerns on this, and somebody may file something in the courts to say, hey, your main citizen legislation says this, but inside CJ A-01-21 says this. And when it gets to the courts, how would it look? And what I'm getting to is you're going to be diminishing the council's powers. So that is just my recommendation. I support this legislation, but I support and I recommend that we send this to the Navajo Nation Council, just to make sure we're okay with this pertaining to the city's main fund management plan. Thank you.
Well, they'll be writing in throughout the day, starting on 1. Yeah. Yeah. I know. Thank you very much, Honorable. So, since there was a question directly to the speaker, let me clarify. It's been to the best of my ability to make sure that one is to protect the people of anything moving forward. But in the legislation that we have here before, 86-21, in the original legislation, CJA-01-21, that legislation delegated the authority of any amendments to the Naa'bik'iyati committee. This hasn't been, there's precedents before this too as well. If you remember, colleagues, on the legislation, I forget what the legislation it is, but it's the citizen legislation that gave $100 million to chapters, $4.1 million consistently divvied up to 24 different regions. That legislation delegated the authority for any kind of amendments, not at NABI level, not at RDC, but at the Budget and Finance Committee. Budget and Finance Committee has the final authority for any amendments to that legislation before moving around funds. So in that case, this isn't something that's new, Honorable Otto. So there's been precedents before for the delegated authorities that has been passed by council, and in this case too as well has been signed by the president. So the president has acknowledged with his signature in this case that CJ A-01-21 has been delegated by this body too as well when we passed the original legislation for heavy equipment to delegate any amendments that would be final authority here at Naa'bik'iyati Committee. So with that, that's the reason why the final authority is on legislation 0086-21 has been delegated and has been recognized by both the legislative and the executive branch through the process. Colleagues, is there any other further comments, questions at this time? I don't have anybody in the queue.
Mr. Chair, this is Daniels.
Honorable Daniels.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Honorable members of Naa'bik'iyati Committee members, Legislative Council, staff, and everybody that listening to this meeting here. Appreciate this legislation here today. My brother, Delegate Freeland, thank you for sponsoring this legislation. This is a very important legislation. Citizen dollars. Heavy equipment. Chapters. And some chapters are waiting for their heavy equipment. Extension. I really support this legislation. Your staff, Elmer Johnson, Mr. Calvin Sosi, and others, kudo da IC kudo chapter the kan da jagi I think call yeah kudo the babahin so kudo says on behalf of the NOS chapters. When I say NOS, I not just on Ojeto, Shanto, and Naa'bik'iyati Atishna ko NOS regional chapters. Ado kudo na great the question that I have is I know two of my chapters they got their heavy equipment. Navajo Mountain, not just on, and also Shanto. But Shanto, they're still waiting for their truck. Other than the two other chapters, Ojeto and Naa'bik'iyati, they haven't received their heavy equipment. Under that, so the question is, are these heavy equipments are they still forthcoming to the chapters Ojeto and Naa'bik'iyati? The reason why I say this is because I'm looking at the list, but they're not on the list. There's 51 lists that I'm looking at. So maybe a question to Dr. Yelman. Thank you.
Speaker Delegate Daniel So, that was also my question originally.
Okay, thank you. With that, colleagues, let me go back to Honorable Freeland and the question directly to Dr. Yellowman. Honorable Freeland.
Speaker, colleagues, thank you. Honorable Herman Daniels, thank you for your comments as well. I'll go ahead and give the floor to Dr. Yellowman on that inquiry and questions. Thank you. Dr. Yellowman?
Okay, thank you, Shana, Delegate Herman Daniels. Thank you, and thank you for your comments to our staff. We do have staff on the line listening as well, and they are pulling up some information. I understand that for Aljeto, there was a rebid to the vendor. The original vendor did not supply that particular backhoe. So the heavy equipment team is looking at a different vendor for the same backhoe. And then for Inscription House, we are waiting for the purchase order from OOC. We do have pending purchase orders at OOC. There's two types of purchase orders at OOC. One is the purchase orders that we purchased prior to April 30th. And so we're asking for coordination and collaboration from OOC to move on those. And then there were some after the April 30th deadline in which this extension will allow us to continue to process. And then what we can do, Delegate Daniels, is email you the listing and status update for your areas as well as Delegate Daniels. So, and then we have staff available today, both Elmer and Ms. Delilah Bill, that can answer particular questions to those heavy equipment pieces. So, Speaker, those would be my remarks to those two questions or pieces of heavy equipment. Yeah.
Speaker Eugene So, put on the queue.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yellowman. Honorable Freeland, does that conclude your response?
Speaker, yes, it does. And I would humbly ask Dr. Yellowman to actually send that to all the delegates, 24 delegates, if we can. Just an update listing of current statuses to their chapters, regions. Thank you.
Thank you. We can do that. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, colleagues, let me go back to the floor. Honorable Eugene So, floor is yours at this time.
the same question as those that two other delegates asked. My name is not on there, so I still has a flat back and the check haven't received yet. So either she's it or she's representative. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Eugene. So, that colleagues, any other comments, questions at this time? If there's none, colleagues, let's go ahead and go to the board then. There's no amendments, right? Oh, yeah. Colleagues, there was a suggested amendment, but if there's no amendments.
Speaker.
I'm a Freeland.
Delegate Freeland, I did submit an amendment for a request for an amendment. I don't know if Dana got it. But it specifically talks about one chapter. I wanted to change it to all chapters.
I don't know, did you send that information over to Ms. Barbara?
Yes, I did, Speaker.
Barbara, I don't know if you received that information, request for amendment.
Speaker, we did receive a request specifically for one chapter, but now that Delegate Freeland is changing it to all chapters, I would like to completely revise the amendment we sent him, and so give us just a few minutes. I think what we're going to do is amend the change the amendment a little bit that was made at RDC to incorporate to expand it a little bit for Delegate Freeland. So give me just a moment to change it. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. That colleagues, I'm going to go into a recess then for 15 minutes. Time now is 12:09. Well, actually 12:30. We'll come back out of recess because it seems like that's the only amendment that's being available. There's nobody else with further discussion. So we'll go ahead and go into recess and come back into session at 12:30. Time is again is 12:09. We're 20 minutes in recess. Thank you, colleagues.
all your feelings on. Thank you.
Retractable roof in the chambers. Good afternoon, colleagues. Again, thank you very much. We did take a recess in order for Ms. Barbroff to have enough time with Office of Legislative Counsel. Before we go back into session, Ms. Barbroff or anyone from Leg Council, are you guys ready? Ms. Barbroff, anybody from Legislative Council? Ms. Tapahi, Ms. Khan, Ms. Barbroff, Office of Legislative Council, anybody on the line? Ms. Barbroff, Ms. Khan, Ms. Tapahi, who else is over there? Mr. Haven, who else is over there? Mr. Cook,
This is Mr. Let me get their attention and I'll be right back with you, Speaker.
Mr. Beta,
I'm sorry, Speaker, this is Mr. Cook. Let me get their attention and I'll have them get back on the line. Mr. Speaker, this is Mr. Cook from Office of Legislative Counsel.
yes.
Yes, sir. The Ms. Balbroff and Ms. Tapahi are currently working on the final touches of the legislation, and they will be on as soon as they can.
So they're not, so it's not ready.
So it's not ready right now. Just give me
So
a few
can
more
you
minutes.
ask them, do they need another 15 minutes, another 20 minutes, another half an hour? 'Cause I know it's a big amendment.
Yes, it is. Thank you. Let me get back with them. Thank you, sir.
Oh.
Yeah, there's Bear on the line.
Thank you very much, colleagues, for waiting, assisting in the process. Time now is 12:40 p.m. I'm just waiting for a response from Office Legislative Council to see if they need more time on the amendment to legislation 0086-21 due to the fact that it is a huge undertaking trying to get this completed. I'm looking to see if I know I talked to Mr. Cook. He went to go state if they needed further time. So before I go back into come out of recess, I think we might have to extend the recess a little bit longer in order for us to go ahead and move forward. But I'm just waiting for a response from Office Legislative Council to see if they're ready to go or not.
Speaker, this is Ms. Bobroff. I apologize for the delay. We just sent out the amendment.
Okay, all right, great. So we're good to go now?
Yes.
All right.
And if you would like me to explain the amendment, I certainly will.
Okay, well, let me go ahead and get back into session first. Time now is 12:41 p.m. Colleagues, members of the Naa'bik'iyati Committee, let's go ahead and get a roll call, and then we can go from there. Sota.
Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay did not answer. Roll call. Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr.
Delegate Callen, present. Thank you.
Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr. answered. Roll call. Honorable Paul Begay. Honorable Paul Begay. Honorable Paul Begay did not answer. Roll call. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown did not answer. Roll call. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton is excused. Honorable Amber Canas Bakrati is excused. Honorable Speaker Seth Damon is present. Honorable Herman M. Daniels Jr.
I'm here.
Honorable Herman M. Daniels Jr. answered. Roll call. Honorable Mark Freeland.
Present.
Honorable Mark Freeland answered. Roll call. Honorable Pernell Halona.
Delegate Holmes is present.
Honorable Pernell Halona answered. Roll call. Honorable Jamie Henyo.
Henyo is present.
Honorable Jamie Henyo answered. Roll call. Honorable Vince James.
Delegate James, present.
Honorable Vince James answered. Roll call. Honorable Rick Nez.
Delegate Rick Nez is present.
Honorable Rick Nez answered. Roll call. Honorable Carl Slater.
Delegate Slater present.
Honorable Carl Slater answered. Roll call. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. did not answer. Roll call. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr.
President.
Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. answered. Roll call. Honorable Charlene So is excused. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So did not answer. Roll call. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So answered. Roll call. Honorable Otto So.
I'm present.
Honorable Otto So answered. Roll call. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. is excused. Honorable Edison Wanika.
Here.
Honorable Edison Wanika answered. Roll call. Honorable Edmund Yazi. Honorable Edmund Yazi. Honorable Edmund Yazi did not answer. Roll call. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair.
Delegate Yellowhair votes green. Thank you.
Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair answered. Roll call. Going back up, Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay did not answer. Roll call. Honorable Paul Begay.
Delegate Paul Begay is present.
Honorable Paul Begay answered. Roll call. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown did not answer. Roll call. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. did not answer. Roll call. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So.
I'm here.
Honorable Daniel So answered. Roll call. Honorable Edmund Yazzie. Honorable Edmund Yazzie. Honorable Edmund Yazzie did not answer. Roll call. Speaker, you have 16 members present, including yourself.
16 members present, colleagues. We do have a quorum. Now let's go back to the legislation 0086-2. We didn't have anybody in the queue. I did have Honorable Freeland state that he was requesting for an amendment to be raised. With that, colleagues, is there anyone that wants to raise that amendment? No, I don't have anybody in the queue again stated. Oh, that recommended amendment did go out at what time? At 12:40.
It's Delegate Henio. Delegate Daniel So.
Chairman Henio. 4-0, Chairman.
Again, that's to Speaker Damon. Notion on the 24th Navajo Nation Council. Motion for amendment number 1, I believe it is.
Amendment number 1, let me go have Mr. Rico read that amendment into the record. Mr. Rico.
Thank you, Speaker and members of the Naa'bik'iyati Committee. Amendment number 1 on page 3, line 17, to RDC Amendment number 1. Overstrike, citizen funds allocated for the chapter heavy equipment expenditure plan shall remain available to procure heavy equipment items for which funding shortfalls or price increases have occurred. After all heavy equipment items listed in CJA-01-21 have been procured, any remaining funds shall revert to the citizen fund principal unless otherwise recommended by the Resource and Development Committee of the Navajo Nation Council and approved by the Naa'bik'iyati Committee. End overstrike. Insert the following new language, underscore. After a chapter's heavy equipment items listed in CJA-01-21 have been procured, any remaining funds may be used by such chapter with the approval of the Division of Community Development to supplement chapter funds or capital outlay funds to purchase heavy equipment related items or accessories. After all heavy equipment items listed in CJA-01-21 have been procured, the Division of Community Development may use the remaining citizen funds allocated for the chapter heavy equipment expenditure plan to procure heavy equipment items for any chapter in which funding shortfalls or price increases have prevented the purchase of the heavy equipment identified in CJA-01-21. Thereafter, any funds not spent or encumbered shall revert to the citizen fund principal unless otherwise recommended by the Resource and Development Committee of the Navajo Nation Council and approved by the Naa'bik'iyati Committee. End underscore. 2, renumber, reletter succeeding paragraphs, sections, and exhibits accordingly. If necessary, this amendment shall supersede inconsistent language contained in any other committee amendment which shall be conformed to the intent or language of this amendment. The Office of Legislative Services, with notice to the sponsor of the legislation, is hereby authorized to make necessary grammatical changes. Mr. Speaker.
Okay, with that, motion by Chairman Henio. Is there a second?
Yellow hair.
Yellow hair on amendment number 1. That, colleagues, any comments, questions? I don't have anybody in the queue at this time. Went twice. Boy, 3 times. Let's go to board on amendment number 1.
Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay did not vote. Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr.
Yeah, I'll get Junior votes green. Thank you.
Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr. votes green. Honorable Paul Begay.
Yeah, I'll get Paul Begay votes green.
Honorable Paul Begay votes green. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown did not vote. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton is excused. Honorable Amber Canespa Crotty is excused. Honorable Herman M. Daniels Jr.
Green.
Honorable Herman M. Daniels Jr. votes green. Honorable Mark Freeland. Honorable Mark Freeland.
Green.
Honorable Mark Freeland votes green. Honorable Pernell Halona.
Halona votes green.
Honorable Pernell Halona votes green. Honorable Jamie Henyo.
Henyo votes green.
Honorable Jamie Henyo votes green. Honorable Vince James.
Delegate James votes green.
Honorable Vince James votes green. Honorable Rick Nez.
Delegate Rick Nez votes green.
Honorable Rick Nez votes green. Honorable Carl Slater.
Delegate Slater, green.
Honorable Carl Slater votes green. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr.
Green.
Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. votes green. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr.
Green.
Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. votes green. Honorable Charlene So is excused. Honorable Daniel So.
I vote green.
Honorable Daniel So votes green. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So votes green. Honorable Otto So.
I vote green.
Honorable Otto So votes green. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. is excused. Honorable Edison Wanika. Honorable Edison Wanika. Honorable Edison Wanika did not vote. Honorable Edmund Yazi.
Green.
Honorable Edmund Yazi votes green. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair.
Delegate Yellowhair votes green.
Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair votes green. Going back up. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay did not vote. Honorable
Monica
Nathaniel.
votes green.
Honorable Edison Wanika votes green. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable
Delegate Brown votes green.
Honorable Nathaniel Brown votes green. Speaker, with a vote of 18 in favor, 0 opposed, and chair not voting.
Thank you very much. So it's 18 in favor, 0 opposed, chair not voting. Motion carries on amendment number 1. With that, colleagues, let's go back to the main motion on legislation 0086-21. As indicated before, there was nobody in the queue. There was just a recommendation for that amendment. Are we ready to vote on the main motion with one amendment?
Yes, ready to vote.
Speaker, this is Ms. Barbara.
Ms. Barbara.
Thank you. Unless I missed something, there was an amendment recommended to replace the schedules, to put in new schedules, and I'm not sure if that amendment was made. It had been sent out.
Colleagues said there was an amendment that was sent out at 11:13 this morning from Ms. Tapahi. And that amendment too is also a recommendation to add that in as well. Um, If there's, again, that is a recommendation from Office of Legislative Counsel. What's the will of the committee?
Is that the one that's line 21, line 13?
Honorable Ottoso is going to motion to make that amendment. Let me go ahead and have Mr. Ricos read that into the record.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members of the Naa'bik'iyati Committee. Amendment number 2, page 1, line 13, delete 25. 2, page 2, line 22, make the following change, overstrike 25 and insert the word certain. 3, page 2, line 23, delete 25. 4, page 3, line 3, make the following change, overstrike 25, underscore the. 5, page 3, line 7, make the following change, overstrike 25, insert the. 6, replace exhibit 4 with new exhibit 4. 7, renumber, reletter succeeding paragraph, sections, and exhibits accordingly. If necessary, this amendment shall supersede inconsistent language contained in any other committee amendment which shall be conform to the intent or language of the amendment. The Office of Legislative Services, with notice to the sponsor of the legislation, is hereby authorized to make necessary grammatical changes. Also attached with this amendment is a new exhibit 4. Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rico. With that, colleagues, there is a motion by Honorable Ottoso on amendment number 2. Is there a second?
Daniel.
Honorable Daniels as a second. With that, colleagues, any comments, questions on amendment number 2? Went twice. Went 3 times. Let's go to the board on amendment number 2. Snowta. Roll call vote.
Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay did not vote. Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr.
Kel votes green. Thank you.
Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr. votes green. Honorable Paul Begay.
Delegate Paul McGee votes green.
Honorable Paul Begay votes green. Honorable Nathaniel Brown.
Delegate Brown votes green.
Honorable Nathaniel Brown votes green. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton is excused. Honorable Amber Canasba Crotty is excused. Honorable Herman M. Daniels Jr.
Green.
Honorable Herman M. Daniels Jr. votes green. Honorable Mark Freeland.
Green.
Honorable Mark Freeland votes green. Honorable Pernell Halona.
Halona votes green.
Honorable Pernell Halona votes green. Honorable Jamie Henyo. Honorable Jamie Henyo. Honorable Jamie Henyo did not vote. Honorable Vince James. Honorable Jamie Henyo votes green. Honorable Vince James.
Delegate James votes green.
Honorable Vince James votes green. Honorable Rick Nez.
Delegate Rick Nez votes green.
Honorable Rick Nez votes green. Honorable Carl Slater.
Delegate Slater
Honorable-
green.
Honorable Carl Slater votes green. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr.
Green.
Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. votes green. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr.
Green.
Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. votes green. Honorable Charlene So is excused. Honorable Daniel So.
I vote green.
Honorable Daniel So votes green. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So votes green. Honorable Otto So. Honorable Otto So votes green. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. is excused. Honorable Edison Wanika.
Green.
Honorable Edison Wanika votes green. Honorable Edmund Yazzie.
Green.
Honorable Edmund Yazzie votes green. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair did not vote. Going back up. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay did not vote. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair.
Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair, vote green. Thank you.
Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair votes green. Speaker, with a vote of 18 in favor, 0 opposed, and chair not voting.
Hi, Byron. Oh. That, colleagues, with a vote of 18 in favor, 0 opposed, chair not voting, motion carries. With that, on amendment number 2, moving forward, colleagues, we are back at the main motion on legislation 0086-21. I know that there was nobody else in the queue. There was no recommendations. I'm gonna go back to legislative council. Are we done with the amendments from your recommendation, Leg Council?
Yes, Speaker, Legislative Council has nothing else. Thank you.
Are you sure?
I think I'm sure.
All right.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay. All right,
Thank you.
with that, colleagues, if there's no other comments, questions, let's go to the board then on legislation 0086-21. Actually, I need to do a second reading, and we'll go forward from there. Mr. Rico.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members of the Naa'bik'iyati Committee. Amendment number 1 on page 3, line 17, delete RDC amendment number 1. Overstrike, the citizen funds allocated for the chapter heavy equipment expenditure plan shall remain available to procure heavy equipment items for which funding shortfalls or price increases have occurred. After all heavy equipment items listed in CGA-01-21 have been procured, any remaining funds shall revert to the citizen fund principal unless otherwise recommended by the Resource and Development Committee of the Navajo Nation Council and approved by the Naa'bik'iyati Committee. End overstrike. Insert the following new language. Underscore, after a chapter's heavy equipment items listed in CGA-01-21 have been procured, any remaining funds may be used by such chapter with the approval of the Division of Community Development to supplement chapter funds or capital outlay funds to purchase heavy equipment related items or accessories. After all heavy equipment items listed in CGA-01-21 have been procured, the Division of Community Development may use any remaining citizen funds allocated for the chapter heavy equipment expenditure plan to procure heavy equipment items for any chapter in which funding shortfalls or price increases have prevented the purchase of the heavy equipment identified in CGA-01-21. Thereafter, any funds not spent or encumbered shall revert to the citizen fund principal unless otherwise recommended by the Resource and Development Committee of the Navajo Nation Council and approved by the Naa'bik'iyati Committee. 2, renumber, related succeeding paragraphs, sections, and exhibits accordingly. If necessary, this amendment shall supersede inconsistent language contained in any other committee amendment which shall be conformed to the intent or language of this amendment. The Office of Legislative Services, with notice to the sponsor of the legislation, is hereby authorized to make necessary grammatical changes. Amendment number 2, page 1, line 13, delete 25, 2, page 2, line 22, make the following changes. Overstrike 25 and insert the word certain. 3, page 2, line 23, delete 25. 4, page 3, line 3, make the following change. Overstrike 25 and insert the word the. 5, page 3, line 7, make the following change. Overstrike 25 and insert the word the. 6, replace Exhibit 4 with new Exhibit 4 attached with this amendment. 7, renumber, related succeeding paragraphs, sections, and exhibits accordingly. If necessary, this amendment shall supersede inconsistent language contained in any other committee amendment which shall be conformed to the intent or language of this amendment. The Office of Legislative Services, with notice to the sponsor of the legislation, is hereby authorized to make necessary grammatical changes. Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. With that, colleagues, let's go to the board on legislation 0086-21 with 2 amendments.
Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay did not vote. Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr.
Delegate Calvin Gay Jr. votes green. Thank you.
Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr. votes green. Honorable Paul Begay.
Delegate Paul Gay votes green.
Honorable Paul Begay votes green. Honorable Nathaniel Brown.
Delegate Brown votes green.
Honorable Nathaniel Brown votes green. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton is excused. Honorable Amber Canespa Crotty is excused. Honorable Herman M. Daniels Jr.
Green.
Honorable Herman M. Daniels Jr. votes green. Honorable Mark Freeland.
Green chili.
Honorable Mark Freeland votes green. Honorable Pernell Halona. Honorable Pernell Halona. Honorable Pernell Halona did not vote.
Halona votes green.
Honorable Pernell Halona votes green. Honorable Jamie Henyo.
Henyo votes green.
Honorable Jamie Henyo votes green. Honorable Vince James.
Delegate James votes green.
Honorable Vince James votes green. Honorable Rick Nez.
Delegate Rick Nez votes green.
Honorable Rick Nez votes green. Honorable Carl Slater.
Delegate Slater, green.
Honorable Carl Slater votes green. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr.
Green.
Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. votes green. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr.
Green.
Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. votes green. Honorable Charlene So is excused. Honorable Daniel So.
I vote green.
Honorable Daniel So votes green. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So did not vote. Honorable Otto So. Honorable Otto So votes green. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. is excused. Honorable Edison Wanika. Honorable Edison Wanika votes green. Honorable Edmund Yazi.
Green.
Honorable Edmund Yazi votes green. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair did not vote. Going back up. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay did not vote. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene. Honorable Eugene So votes green. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair.
Yellowhair votes green.
Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair votes green. Speaker, with a vote of 18 in favor, 0 opposed, and chair not voting.
Thank you, colleagues. That 18 in favor, opposed, chair not voting. Motion carries on legislation 0086-21.
Speaker.
Honorable
Freeland.
Honorable Freeland.
Speaker, thank you. Senata, we as a team, I appreciate the Division Community Development working as an agent, and all the heavy equipment team workers who have been working on this legislation tirelessly. Do appreciate your support and acknowledgement of this extension request, Senata. Definitely appreciate your support today, and let's get the rest of these heavy equipment out to our chapters and get it done for our people. So a gratitude of appreciation and sincere expression of appreciation as well today. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much. With that, colleagues, legislation 0086-21. It was final authority here at Naa'bik'iyati Committee. Moving on down, item number 8, close of meetings, announcements, adjournments. Colleagues, is there any announcements? I was just asking if there was any meetings. There's a joint meeting tomorrow between Health Education and RDC. Safe travels on that. Colleagues, any other announcements at this time? I don't believe that there's any meetings on Saturday, right? No subcommittee meetings on Saturday? Oh, and then there's also Law and Order committees having their public hearing at the Chinle Police Department. That starts at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning in Chinle, Arizona. There's no other announcements, colleagues. Is there a motion to adjourn at 1:10?
Key Allen. Delegate Brown, second.
Kealan. Yeah, motion's adjourned at 1:10 p.m. Second by Honorable Brown. That, colleagues, let's go to board.
Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay did not vote. Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr.
Key Allen votes green, thank you.
Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr. votes green. Honorable Paul Begay.
Delegate Paul Begay votes green.
Honorable Paul Begay votes green. Honorable Nathaniel Brown.
Delegate Brown votes green.
Honorable Nathaniel Brown votes green. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton is excused. Honorable Amber Canaspa-Crotty is excused. Honorable Herman M. Daniels Jr.
Green.
Honorable Herman M. Daniels Jr. votes green. Honorable Mark Freeland.
Green.
Honorable Mark Freeland votes green. Honorable Pernell Halona.
Halona votes green.
Honorable Pernell Halona votes green. Honorable Jamie Henyo. Honorable Jamie Henyo. Green.
Green and our neighbors.
Honorable Jamie Henyo, can you please repeat your vote? Honorable Jamie Henyo. Honorable Jamie Henyo. Honorable Jamie Henyo did not vote. Honorable Vince James.
Delegate Dan votes green.
Honorable Vince James votes green. Honorable Rick Nez.
Delegate Rick Nez votes green.
Honorable Rick Nez votes green. Honorable Carl Slater.
Delegate Slater, green.
Honorable Carl Slater votes green. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. did not vote. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr.
Green.
Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. votes green. Honorable Charlene So is excused. Honorable Daniel So.
I vote green.
Honorable Daniel So votes green. Honorable Eugene So.
Oh, okay.
Honorable Eugene So votes green. Honorable Otto So. Honorable Otto So votes green. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. is excused. Honorable Edison Winika. Honorable Edison Winika votes green. Honorable Edmund Yazi. Honorable Edmund Yazi.
Green.
Honorable Edmund Yazi votes green. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair.
I vote.
Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair votes green. Going back up. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay did not vote. Honorable Jamie Henyo. Honorable Jamie Henyo. Honorable Jamie Henyo did not vote. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. did not vote. Speaker, with a vote of 16 in favor, 0 opposed, and chair not voting.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, 1:10 PM, 16 in favor, 0 opposed, chair not voting, motion carries. We're officially adjourned from the Naa'bik'iyati committee meeting today. Thank you very much for being here with us, colleagues, and thank you very much, everyone that was listening in to the debate and conversation today. Also, thank you for being safe out there, continuing being safe. We'll see you next at the next work session or NABI meeting next week. But if we don't see you until then, have a safe weekend, safe travels to everyone that'll be on the road tonight and tomorrow and this weekend. Thank you, everyone, for being here with us. Go on.
Thank you, Speaker.